right, class. How's everyone doing at home? I know it can be hard, but hopefully you're enjoying the BFG. I want you to think, what would you do if you were in Sophie's shoes? If you saw a big friendly giant walking from house to house, peeking in through your windows, and then you saw it and it snatched you up and took you to giant country. Luckily for Sophie, the BFG doesn't eat humans. But what would you do? The giants. But if you're so nice and friendly, Sophie said, then why did you snatch me from my bed and run away with me? Because you saw me, the BFG said. If anyone has ever seen a giant, he or she must be taken away hip switch. Why? Asked Sophie. Well, first of all, said the BFG, human beings is not really believing in giants, is they? Human beings is not thinking we exist. And I want to point out that human beings is actually spelled beans like the food beans, B-E-A-N-S, because the giants eat them. But I do, said Sophie. That's because you've seen me, cried the BFG. I cannot possibly allow anyone, even little girls, to be seeing me and staying at home. The first thing you would be doing would be scooting along and yodeling the news that you were actually seeing a giant. And then a great giant hunt, a mighty giant look-see, would be starting up all over the world, with the human beings all rummaging for the great giant you saw and getting wildly excited. People would be coming rushing and pushing after me with goodness knows what, and they would be catching me and locking me into a cage and staring at me. They would be putting me into a zoo or the Bunkum House with all the squiggling hippo dumplings and crocodile willies. Do you think that's what would happen? Do you think he's right? Is that what people do when they see crazy looking things? Do we lock them up into cages? Sophie knew that what a giant was saying was true. If any person reported actually having seen a giant haunting the streets of a town at night, there would most certainly be a terrific hullabaloo across the world. I will bet you, the BFG went on, that you would have been splashing the news all around and telling the whole world, said the BFG. Most likely on the Telly-Welly Bunkin box and that radio speaker. So you will just have to be staying here with me for the rest of your life. Oh no, cried Sophie. Oh yes, said the BFG. But I'm warning you not ever to go whiffling out about this cave without I is with you, or you will be coming to an ugly, muckly end. I is showing you now who is going to eat you up if they're ever catching even one tiny glimpse of you. The big friendly giant picked Sophie up off the table and carried her to the cave entrance. He rolled the huge stone to one side and said, "Peep out over there, little girl, and tell me what you seen." Sophie, sitting on the BFG's hand, peeped out of the cave. The sun was up now and shining fiery hot over the great yellow wasteland and its blue rocks and dead trees. "Is you seeing them?" asked the BFG. Sophie, squinting through the glaring of the sun, saw several tremendous tall figures moving among the rocks about 500 yards away. 3 or 4 others were sitting quite motionless on the rock themselves. "This is giant country," the BFG said. "Those is all the giants, everyone." It was a brain-boggling sight. The giants were all naked except for a sort of short skirt around their waist, and their skins were burnt by the sun. But it was the sheer size of each one of them that boggled Sophie's brain most of all. They were simply colossal, far taller and wider than the big friendly giant upon whose hands she was now sitting on. And oh, how ugly they were. Many of them had large bellies. All of them had long arms and big feet. They were too far from the faces to be seen clearly. And perhaps that was a good thing. What on earth are they doing? Sophie asked. Shh. Okay, we'll get a vitamin. Hold on. Nothing, said the BFG. They's is just moochling and foochling around and waiting for the night to come. Then they will all go galloping off to places where people is living for their supper. You mean to Turkey? Sophie said. Bone-crunching giants will be galloping to Turkey. Of course, said the BFG. But the others will be whiffling off to all sorts of flung-away places like Wellington, for the booty flavor of Panama, and for the hatty taste. Every giant is having his own favorite hunting ground. Do they ever go to England? Sophie asked. Often, said the BFG. They say the English is tasting ever so scrumptious. I'm not sure I quite know what that means, Sophie said. Meanings is not important, said the BFG. I cannot be right all the time. Quite often, I is left instead of right. Look at this picture. Judah and Gina, I want to remind you to stay a little quieter, okay? And all of those beastly giants over there really going off again tonight to eat people? Sophie asked. All of them is guzzling human beings every night, the BFG answered. All of them except me. That's why you will be coming to an ugly-muckly end if any of them ever catch eyes on you. You would be swallowed up like a piece of frumpkin pie, all in one gulp. But eating people is horrible, Sophie cried. It's frightful. Why doesn't someone stop them? And who, please, is going to stop them? Asked the BFG. Couldn't you? Said Sophie. Never in a pig's whistle, cried the BFG. All of those man-eating giants is enormous and very fierce. They is at least 2 times my wideness and double my royal highness. Twice as high as you? Cried Sophie. Easily that, said the BFG. You is seeing them in a distance, but just wait till you get a close-up. Those giants is all at least 50 feet tall with huge muscles and cockle-alive olive eyes. I is the titching one. I is the runt. 24 feet is puddle nuts in giant country. Sure. You mustn't feel bad about it, Sophie said. I think you're just great. Why, even your toes must be as big as sausages. Bigger, said the BFG, looking pleased. They is as big as bumplehammers. How many giants are out there? Sophie asked. 9 altogether, answered the BFG. That means, Sophie said, that somewhere in the world, every single night, 9 wretched people get carried away and eaten alive? More, said the BFG. It is all depending, you see, on how big the human beings is. Japanese beings are very small, so a giant will need to gobble up at least 6 Japanese before he is feeling filled up. Others, like Norway people and Yankee Doodles, is even so much bigger, and usually 2 or 3 of them makes it good for the night. Come over here, Shanna. But do these disgusting giants go to every single country in the world? Sophie asked. All countries except Greece is getting visited sometime or another, the BFG answered.
Mommy, can I have some too?
Yes, 1 second, class.
Mom, can I have some too?
This is what happens when you teach from home. You
Mom,
get
can I have
nice.
some too?
Everyone gets some. Please be careful. So take a break. Think quickly to what I just read. Judah, you need to get a glass, please. And I'll pour you some. Excuse me, Shane.
Here's some more. I just got a little bit.
Drink that first, and I'll pour you some more. All the countries except Greece is getting visited sometime or another, the BFG answered. The country which a giant visits is depending on how he is feeling. If it is warm weather and the giant is feeling hot as a sizzle pan, he'll probably gallop far up to the Frisbee north to get himself an Eskimo or 2 to cool him down. A nice fat Eskimo to a giant is like a lovely ice cream lolly to you. I'll take your word for
Can
it,
you pull it?
Sophie said.
Oh, Mama.
All right, we're going to stop there for now.
Wait.
I want you to take your time. Think about what the BFG is saying. How would you react?
Can you,
How would you
Can
feel?
you pull some?
Have a great day. I'll talk to you all soon.